Chris, Premier Farnell, acquired by Avnet, had some initial targets. How are you working towards those?
Thank you. It's a great question. So since the acquisition, it's been really good for Premier Farnell. Some of the things we were tasked with two major tasks. First one was to grow our profitable business, so accelerated growth, so that would be accretive to the overall Avnet family. And the second opportunity that we presented with was to become the digital front end to help lead customers. So again, so there's two opportunities. One is to grow our business. We're a business that stood on the London Stock Exchange for years, and now we're part of the Avnet family. So to grow that business and be accretive to the overall Avnet financials. And the second is to be a lead generation company for Avnet, to create leads and generate them and walk customers through that customer life cycle. And we do that by being the kind of the digital e-commerce front end of the Avnet business. On that first opportunity, growing the business, we've been tremendously successful there. Being part of the Avnet family has afforded us some opportunities to invest in some infrastructure that we really needed. We invested quite a lot of money in our inventory breadth, and in our model, you want an inventory profile that's about a mile wide and an inch deep, and allows you to capture new engineers at the early stages of the design cycle. We've also invested in our online user experience, and we broke ground on a new warehouse, so that's been really exciting. And before we were acquired, our growth was actually in 2016. We were about flat to slightly down, and now we're a business that's grown at double digit, and our return on sales moved from about 5.9% to over 11%. So financially, it's been a really good story. The second part of the question that you asked was around what else do we do, and that's kind of the digital front end, is how do we become the digital front end of Avnet's business. And we've worked really hard there because our business model is one where you touch the customer early on, and you have to make sure that your proposition and the products that they're looking for, first, is easy to find, and two, you have to give them a compelling reason to convert that into an order. So you have to have enough information, enough intelligence on your website. Of course, it's all underpinned by your web speed, so your website has to be fast enough so people want to transact with it. And you have to give them a compelling reason to convert, and that's everything from pricing, the right product data, the right content, the right 360 images, videos, all that information really underpins that. And we've worked really well with Avnet to create that digital front end of their e-commerce business.
Okay, and how are you working with your colleagues in Avnet to start to bring that to fruition?
It's a great question. So some of the, if you look at our customer breadth, in Premier Farnell we have hundreds of thousands, millions of customers on our marketing database, and we transact every 6 months with over 600,000 customers. If you look at that customer breadth and you look at the Avnet customers, we have about 30,000 customers in common. And for those 30,000 customers, what we've done is we've set technology triggers in our own Salesforce.com system. So we know when a customer buys a dev kit or a microcontroller or a sensor, and we mine that data, focused on, you have to keep it small enough to manage. You don't want to inundate Avnet with too many leads. So you mine that data, and you set that based on technology triggers, so we know when a customer's buying those products. And then you look at the patterns of how they're buying. And when those customers look like they're going to grow beyond our inventory profile can support, that mile wide and an inch deep, that's usually an indication that something's moving towards mass production. At that point in time, we have our Salesforce.com system pass that lead along to one of our either speedboats in Europe or our business in North America and Asia Pacific. Okay. And then there's also hundreds of thousands of customers where we do not have customers in common. So the customer does business with Premier Farnell, but doesn't necessarily trade with Avnet. And in those situations, we've actually hired a team of people in Leeds in the UK, and we qualify those leads. We call the customer, we vet the opportunity, and we also have to make sure we secure data privacy issues. So we have strict adherence to GDPR, and we make sure that the customer is willing to accept a sales call from either our Avnet field application engineer or our Avnet salesperson. So we're trying to cover that on both bases. We've had a lot of success. Right now, our conversion rate of leads being passed is about 67%. So that's greater than the industry average. Granted, we've had to start small because you really have to get that process down because it can be fairly complicated. But so far, it's been really good. And in some areas, we've actually co-located in buildings with our Avnet sales counterparts, right? So we had fortunate opportunities in a few markets in Europe and North America where our sales teams are actually co-located in the same building. You know, the Farnell sales team is still Farnell business badged and Avnet is still Avnet, but you know, they co-locate together, and that facilitates and fosters that communication and discussion on customers.